Well, it is 6:02, so let's begin first by thanking you all so much for being here tonight. And let's start with a quick round of introductions. If you could say your name, your city and country, and your club name, we will then get started. So, Nina, I want to end with you, but Pat, let's start with you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Pat Van Diest, and I am from Paulsville, Washington, and part of the Paulsville North Kitsap Rotary in the United States of America. Pleasure to meet all of you and be here.
Thanks, Pat. Ed, would you like to go next?
Yes, hi, I'm Ed Church. I'm from the Rotary Club of Berkeley, California.
Ed, I worked for 25 years as the executive director of the Rotary Club of Oakland. So we were probably neighbors.
We definitely were neighbors, but in different districts.
Yes.
Oh.
Even though we border each other, we were different districts. Very
Sure.
good. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Ed
you.
Pickard, did I say that correctly?
Yes, I'm the other Ed, and I'm from the other coast, from the Rotary Club of Durham, North Carolina, USA.
Thank you for being with us here tonight, Ed. Margene.
Hey, I am Margene Smolodin. I am in the same Rotary Club as Pat Van Diest, which is in Paulsville, Washington. The name of the club is Paulsville North Kitsap, which is in the United States.
Thank you, Margene. Really glad you're here. Ariel.
My name is Ariel Miller. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States, and the Cincinnati Rotary Club.
Very good. And Ariel, you play a rather important role in SRAG. Would you like to share with the group what you do?
Well, I'm only one of the SRAG leaders in this meeting, but I happen to be the newsletter editor.
Ariel does an amazing job turning out a lot of information, covers everything from pollinators to plastic to many other facets.
I agree.
Pretty amazing.
Wonderful.
Good job.
And Ed, I should have asked you the same in leadership in SRAG. Can you tell everybody what you do?
I am on the board, and I have a role in trying to figure out how to organize our task forces, initiatives, projects, steering committees, working groups, committees. All of those.
Groups. You forgot the groups. You forgot groups.
Groups
And teams.
Teams. We're all teams, aren't we?
It sounds like trying to eat an elephant. Big job.
Nothing to it.
And then Mina, you are.
I'm from Rotary Club of Nilgiris West, which is in South India. We are in a biosphere reserve, so we kind of do a lot of green stuff. We didn't think of them as green stuff. We just thought of them as stuff that had to be done. So I'm also on the board and in charge of the projects division.
And I know that two of our people who are here just joined SRAG in the last couple days. So could you tell them what the project is and how they might get involved with listening to the Wednesday programs?
Okay, so the projects division has two parts. We have the projects and we have the task forces and initiatives. Now in the projects part of it, we are looking both at the club level and at the global grant level. So we help, if clubs have ideas, we can help them design impactful projects. Or if you already have done a project, we can help you present it. Every month we have the alternate Wednesdays, the second and the fourth Wednesdays. It's club presentations. We do two clubs, whatever projects they've done, we give them a chance to present it for 10 minutes. and you have a global audience that can help you either move the project into a larger scale or to global ground, or just appreciate all the good work that you do. So we have that. We have a database that we collect projects in, which can also help you, look at how and what your project has been doing over the years or over months, and look at the impact that you are doing. We have 6 themes that SRAG works in. So you've got biodiversity, you've got food security, you've got sustainable living, you've got climate related projects, you've got circular economy, and you've got anything that helps with the removal of pollution. So you can choose to work on any of the teams. We just need passionate people who are willing to say, yes, I'd like to be on one of those teams or teams.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I hope that you have all received the agenda. I'm going to do a quick recap of the presentation that you may have seen on November 14th, where we rolled out plastic solutions suggestion for a role that Rotary Clubs can play in ending plastic waste. We'll review that very quickly and end with the objective that we have for today's brainstorming meeting. I'll show you a word cloud to kind of get our creative juices going. And then we will start a green light brainstorming. What we're looking for here is lots of ideas. Later, we will have a second meeting on Thursday at a different time, so we can get people from different parts of the world. They will do the very same process. Those 2 lists of ideas will be put together. And if you put your email into chat, then I will send you the compiled list as we proceed to get ready for our next steps. So to begin, let me open up PowerPoint and we'll do a quick review of the main concepts behind this program. Okay, can someone tell me what they are seeing right now?
Slide number 1.
Very good. Okay. Well, I want to welcome you to Plastic Solutions. We are working to build a global network to rethink and influence how we create, use, and dispose of plastic. Right now, we're going to review the reason why this is so important and why we are here tonight.
Would you like to make this into a slideshow because we're seeing your notes and everything?
Oh, okay. So it's more than the slide. Very good. I've got it on 2 screens. Let me stop the share.
And also, we were sent this slideshow by Olderico.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, he was supposed to have. How does this look?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that correct? Okay, very good. I am so sorry. That slideshow was only meant so that I would have a backup in case I had technical problems. What I hope you received is the agenda. Did people receive the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's a short agenda.
I just looked for mine. I didn't find it. So
we're going to get through this slideshow and then we're going to get started with our brainstorming. So this is the very worst photo that I have ever seen on the proliferation of plastic in our world. And this is part of the reason, as useful as plastic is and as important as it is, it vastly outstrips our ability to manage it. And the impact that has on our world and animals is large. It's expected to rise a great deal in the next 10 years. So instead of slowing things down, our rate of production is actually increasing. Plastic dust, just as a review for those who just saw this talk, plastic dust is generated by such unlikely things as tires and textiles. In this particular study, 1,000 pounds landed in US national parks. The small pieces of nanoplastics are entrained into the air, and it can travel across continents in the atmospheric cycle. In the seas, it's just as bad. The microplastics that we saw in slide 1 are just a precursor to the truly dangerous nano and microplastics. This planktonic arrowworm has a blue thread that he has swallowed. And as plankton is going down, fibers and nanoplastics are moving up the food chain. Our very air, our waters, even our bodies are being impacted. And when your bathtub is overflowing, you don't just reach for a mop. Rotary Clubs have done a lot of cleanups, but the purpose of plastic solution is to look at the root causes and to help try to find ways to turn off the tap of plastic use. But what plastic do we quit using? It's pretty well agreed that the big problem and the easiest thing to work on is single-use plastic. And when the United Nations used a lifestyle approach to study, well, if we don't use plastic, what should we use? They came up with a riveting discovery that the problem with single-use plastic is not the plastic, it is the single use. In this chart, we see the impacts of CO2 from various kinds of cups. Those that are yellow are disposable cups made from paper, which is the highest one, clear down to PLA, which is a bio-based plastic. They produce much more CO2 than the ceramic, stainless, or glass cups represented by the blue bars. Same thing happens with water. Vastly more water is used in the extraction, the creation, transportation of any kind of disposable versus a ceramic cup, which uses a fraction. We see the same thing happening with stainless steel cutlery, and you wonder, well, how many times do you have to use the stainless steel before it breaks even with the energy that was used, the energy and water, the other life cycle inputs that are used? Only 2 times. And then we're breaking even from that point forward. And aluminum, many people are quite excited about aluminum cups, aluminum cans being used to replace single-use plastic. But if aluminum is only used 1 time, its inputs are huge. The carbon emissions are 5 times higher, and the per fluor carbons are 9,000 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So unless even aluminum, which is highly recyclable, but requires bauxite mining, which is a strip mining, unless it is used multiple times, it is not a win for the environment. What ends up happening when these regrettable substitutes are used is we are creating, we're cutting down more forests, billions of trees are used to produce paper, extracting more metals, and growing more agricultural plant monocultures, which are devastating for biodiversity. Needed for change are policy changes and behavior change. The Rotary is not a political advocacy group, but we do know something about behavior change, and we can be leaders. We have clubs in almost every city around the world. But behavior changes aren't easy. Since the 1950s, many countries have become accustomed to a throwaway lifestyle, not just for plastics, but for other disposables. But plastic really brought it to a head, and we took perhaps the wrong fork in the road as we proceeded on a lifestyle that required disposables. We need a new normal. The old normal might be plastic water bottles. A new normal could be water dispensers and reusable lightweight aluminum cups that can be washed and reused again many times. Our club went zero waste and disposable free for our last large fundraiser, a community bike ride. We borrowed our cutlery from a tableware lending library. We had a blast wrapping them up, drinking wine together, and then washing our hands and continue to rewrap. It was a lot of fun to get ready for this, a lot of camaraderie around that table, rolling this borrowed silverware into a postable paper towel that served as a napkin. It was very easy to put them in water and wash them later. And a lot of people made comments about our efforts. And we also had an educational board on what we did and why we did it. And this influence that we had is key when you look at Doug McKenzie Moore's, Dr. Doug McKenzie Moore, an expert in community-based social marketing. He has studied the effects of trying to influence behavior change. And one key takeaway, information and awareness programs alone do not change behavior. And they know this from studying what electrical companies, water companies, and other programs around the world have tried to do, with results often measured right at the meter. So what does change human behavior? People are influenced by what other people are doing. And they don't want to be different. So if Rotary can help to normalize a way that's not using disposables, that could be very powerful. Rotary clubs are a perfect fit because we have clubs all over the world. We're visible. And why is that important? Well, imagine if 1.4 million Rotarians quit using disposables and single-use plastic. Nobody would see it. Nobody would know it. It would be nice, and we should do it. But it's doing it in public, being upbeat, show how to do it by doing it, role models and leaders in our communities that we can really utilize our influence. The role for Rotary is on the left side of this diffusion of innovation chart. Anytime there are new changes in behavior, whether technology or otherwise, there will always be innovators, followed by early adopters. That is the role we can play, helping to demonstrate and support needed behavior changes. We could be the early majority. It would be a shame if we were the late majority, and heaven forbid that we are the laggards. So what is the most effective role Rotary clubs can play in ending waste? It's leading our local communities to replace single-use plastics and disposables with refillable and reusable systems. I guess I was supposed to have clicked that. So our first project, phase one, our core project, and the reason that we are here tonight is to make our club's public events, fundraisers, and meetings a living demonstration of how to ditch the disposables and use refills and reusables. And by the way, we're looking for a catchy name for this project. So if anybody suggests one that we use, I will buy them a year of membership in SRAD. So please put your ideas in chat, or in the middle of the night when you come up with the perfect thing, send me an email. Doing this work is fun. It builds camaraderie. It's good to know you're doing the right thing. It engages young people. And this is a Paulsbo Rotary out there doing a zero waste event back in 2018. Some ideas, though, well, let me back up. Not all cultures are using a lot of disposables. So what do we do in parts of the world where they're not using disposables? They're hiring people or doing themselves the dishwashing and cleanup. Here are just a few ideas we may be able to run with in the future. A Rotaractor led the way in providing a filtered water bottle refill station. Now we've learned that there are problems with the station because unclear expectations were set on who would do the maintenance and change the filters. So we can learn from each other, both good ideas and helpful tips. In Bangalore, India, Rotarian Dr. Meenakshi Bharath produced a video on her son's wedding that used no disposables. For those who are not familiar with Indian weddings, this wedding had 1,000 people and provided meals for them for several days. And the amount of dry waste that they had was one small bag. All wet waste was dealt with. And this is a very inspiring video. And I will put the link in our chat. And from Santiago, Chile, the founder of Al Gramo was very upset with the number of sachets that were polluting the Santiago area. So he came up with a refilling station where he resupplied using electric trikes and dispensed into just the amount that people wanted to purchase at a fair bulk price. This is not a Rotary project, but can we learn from this? Can what worked in Chile perhaps work in other parts of the world? These are some of the adventures that we have ahead of us. Plastic has not been around a long time. Solutions to it, we're going to have to start building them in Rotary, and it's something we can do. We've got the perspectives, we've got the people. We need to pay attention and go to work. But tonight, we are just working on the first core program and taking names for people who might want to be working on other projects in plastic as well. Our primary objective tonight is to create a large list of ideas, resources, and needed tools to promote Project Once is Not Enough, or Project Refill and Reuse, whatever name we end up choosing to move forward. And our second objective is to recruit members from all regions to develop additional projects that can help make that switch from disposables to reusables. I thank you all for being here tonight. Let's start getting our creative juices going. How do we get the word out to many, many clubs? What will those clubs need from us? I've got a place here where I can write some ideas. And before we jump into that, just a quick little word cloud that I put together with a lot of words in here. Toolkits, demonstrations for how to, club-wide pledges, individual pledges.
Laurie, is that on another screen? If you could share that screen, because this is right to the slideshow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How's this?
Yep.
Okay. So this is just to look at, just to start getting us thinking, what resources do we have in SRAG and in other parts of Rotary? Are there successful examples that we can follow? What tools might be helpful to clubs? And how do we spread the word and create excitement? I'm going to now turn into your note taker. And let's see. I cannot see everybody. Can I see everybody? How about if you hold your hand up if you've got an idea to contribute? Ariel, then Margine.
Oh, I thought you wanted to know if you could see us.
Oh,
I think I'm thinking of the manual for Habitat Solar, which is really good because it explains how to find out how to replicate the project in your area, and it takes it from conception to partnership building to finding funding and so forth. So I'm thinking it's Once is Not Enough cookbook, where you've got recipes for projects, and the recipes are like the American cookbook, The Joy of Cooking. They don't assume you know how to do the stuff, so they explain. How do you skin that moose that your husband just brought home? And turn it
That's
into
great.
something people would want to eat.
Excellent, excellent. We're off to an excellent start. Margine, you had your hand up.
Well, like Ariel, I thought you just wanted to know what we could each see. But Lori, I tell you, when we talked after the meeting on Friday, I was like so pumped about this whole thing. I mean, I wish she could infuse me with all of her knowledge, because it's hard when you're older to absorb all that knowledge. But I'm pumped about this, and just starting small and getting big, like the video that we saw. I mean, can't that be provided to a lot of Rotary clubs and so on and so on and so on? On my recent trip to Europe, I went to 4 Rotary clubs in Norway. And I mean, I just think all of them would be interested in this. Who wouldn't be interested in this? I don't know. I don't have any ideas. I love aerials. I'm just hoping I can help. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Margine.
And I have such a busy, I'm going to be going to Africa to work on a project in February. And so I'm a little nervous about feeling like I can do that much, but I'm interested.
Well, maybe you're on your trip to Africa, you will be able to talk to people and find out how they feel about plastic, what kinds of projects they are most interested in. Be a sponge and talk to as many people as you can, and encourage and invite them to join SRAG and to work with us. That would be, that kind of person-to-person talking is invaluable. Those are sometimes the way the biggest Rotary projects get done. 25 years with Oakland Rotary, I can tell you something. There is nothing more compelling than person with fire in their belly who wants to listen and wants to help and say, how can we help? And that is the part of the magic of Rotary. Ariel. Oops, Ariel, you are muted. And I just broke a rule. I am so sorry. I would like everybody to speak at least once before we start to repeat. So there are a couple people who you don't have to say anything exciting. Just share your thoughts, and maybe you'll be the one who comes up with the best idea of the night. Ed.
Hi. So the Plastic Pollution Coalition says refuse, reduce, reuse.
Love it.
So we're adding an R to the usual. So refuse, reduce, reuse. I like the saying, recycle, it's the least you can do.
I like that.
But I would like to extend the idea of behavioral change to people who work in the corporations that are manufacturing plastic. They're human beings. They have behavior which can be changed. And we talked about the force multiplier in your slideshow. And I think that given the general position of Rotarians in the world, we are in a great position to help change the behavior of people who work in petroleum industries and in creating the plastic, which we then have to deal with. So let's add that to the list.
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Ed. We have another Ed who's being very, very quiet over there from North Carolina. Do you have any thoughts?
We have a luncheon meeting of a couple of hundred people at our club, and we have recently transitioned to, thankfully, compostable plates, but we're still using plastic utensils. I would like to see us be able to transition away from those plastic utensils. Here in town, we're still using plastic grocery bags. This evening, I was sewing reusable bags to be given away at some stores. If anybody's got some thoughts as to how to get rid of these plastic bags, that would be great. You'll see a number of them in Africa blowing all around. It's rather disturbing. We've got a very energetic woman here who has taken on the school system. These schools hand out thousands of lunches a day in these clam box containers that are made of styrofoam. She has established a washing center to have, metal trays as opposed to styrofoam, and metal utensils. She's doing a wonderful, wonderful job.
Is that for her district or for one school?
It's for the public school here has allowed a trial project in one school. She's trying to expand it to all the public schools here. This person's not a Rotarian, but would make a great Rotarian if we could. She's a bundle of energy.
That sounds amazing and inspiring. It is humbling what some individuals can do to change their communities and become leaders. I hope you get her as a Rotarian. Fantastic. Thank you.
Can I say something, Lori?
Please.
One is these 300 ml water bottles that you get in every conference. You get it in any hotel you go to. People just finish that because it's basically about 250 ml of water, which usually you would drink from a glass that is there in the plastic bottle. If we can get rid of that, that saves a lot of things. And usually when you go for these Rotary conferences, there's some little gift bag or something that comes. And let me tell you, for this 1,000 people that we attended at Abu Dhabi, which is the personification of everything that is over consumeristic, all of us got glass bottles. And from the second day, you could see Rotarians who are DGs and DGs carrying it around rather than taking the bottled water, which was all left on the tables, nothing being used. So it is something people know and they carry and they do. In India, for each and every town, they can set up their own rules on what they let into the town and out of the town. So a lot of these points where the entry is to the town, they have these green counters where they go through your luggage, go through this thing, whatever plastic, for each plastic bag that you carry, there's a fine. And you have to, if you have plastic bottles, you have to leave it there. And they give you the address where you can go and buy a metal bottle for water. And we have water ATMs where you can put money and get a liter of water out.
Wow. Let me at the entrance they can assign fines. That was for bags and bottles.
Mm-hmm. And plastic bottles are your highest recycling money. So a lot of you would see in most of the towns you have these unorganized sector collecting plastic. Plastic bottles are the ones that are the richest for recycling. And most of the lower grade plastic also gets collected for laying plastic roads. So there are other solutions also happening. But the biggest thing I would say for South and Southeast Asia is we eat with our hands. So utensils cut down in meetings.
Ha! Yes, yes. Oh,
So that's another thought, finger food for lunches and meetings. So you just have one wash station and you're done.
the idea is use finger foods. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cut down on all kinds of stuff just in the design of your conference or event. Now, this is a project that any Rotary Club can do. The one caveat I would say is to treat this project like any other project. Don't just dump it on the laps of people who are already doing all of the planning and producing of the project. In our club, our little trash talk task force, we support the other activities so that it doesn't create a burden and resentment on already busy people. And we have a blast because when we do the dishwashing, we like to say that good people, good music, and bad jokes can make any job fun. And it's a real camaraderie builder. I think it builds social glue. We spend a lot trying to build social media to communicate when sometimes what we need is a wash-up celebration. Our cleanup can be outsourced to others, like Interact clubs who have their food handlers cards or whatever they need to have. But we can also do it ourselves and turn it into a great opportunity for people to meet and talk and establish camaraderie and energy. Ed Church.
Yes, hi, Lori. Have you had much traction on these ideas beyond the club to the district? And is there a way to do something with at a district level that could then be replicated through the clubs?
That is what we're here for tonight, is how do we get to the district? Now, in my own district, somebody is nominating me to talk and lay this out and try to get people inspired. But I've wondered if one of the tools we are going to need to develop is a speakers bureau. Once people are popular and exciting at clubs, then it becomes a lot easier to get invited to speak at district conferences. But those of you who know Rotary structure better and have other ideas, I have found that emailing district governors is a burden to them because everybody and their dog has a great idea that they want their district governors to do. So that approach requires some sensitivity. But if we can build up,
Can I suggest? Okay, after that.
Mina, was that related to Ed Church's comment?
Yes, the other thing about reaching out to the district is usually your district conferences are hosted by some host club. So you know which club is taking up the district conference or few clubs that are taking up the district conference. You know that 6 months ahead because that's already been announced who's running the district conference. Why not get involved at that stage in your district and plan out the way you're going to do it? Because just having places where people can fill up water and having food that can be wrapped up in paper or you not have. I'm just trying to say they can come up with ideas that can reduce plastic and having jugs of water set out in tables that people can pour into their glasses rather than pick up a 250 ml bottle to the table.
What about $5 off if you bring your own coffee mug and water container?
Exactly. And if you want to reach the district conference is one place that you can do it. Or start it off on the pets and sex. You know who the organizing committee is for the pets and sex. If you start it out there, you've got your club presidents ready to do it in one shot. all you need to know which club is doing it as
Yeah.
an organizer.
This is
And
a very practical and doable suggestion in my
And
mind.
SREC can offer the organizing committee maybe some memberships or something if they can get this organized for that
Ooh.
conference.
Ooh. Okay, let me write this down, and then Pat, you are next. I've got a thing that is blocking my ability to type. Now, what's going on here? There we go. SRAG offer free memberships if they pull it off. Is that what you said?
Yeah. To the organizing committee or whoever does it.
Excellent. Miss Pat.
Thank you. Okay. I'm struggling with this.
Okay.
And just let me share with you what's in my head. And
Great.
I think we all here have a passion for this topic. And that we know, for any of us who have done our research, that we are nearing a deadline of crises on so many levels. And what I'm trying to do is create a sense of urgency that I think many of us right here feel, but the outside world at every aspect, even in Paulsville, Washington, do not have a clue as to why we would be doing all these events. And just maybe I am, and again, I'm not an expert, but what I feel is most critical is educating people to the fact of just how big of a crisis there is. You know, I will tell you just briefly that I try to go out of my way to educate myself to these types of matters. And I thought I was doing my due diligence carefully. And it was through my association with what Lori has presented the club in our trashy task force, whatever we're calling it, I can't remember, that all of a sudden I realized all the things that I were dutifully cleaning off these plastic containers and making sure they were dry and putting them in my recycling cans, they were garbage. There's no place for them in recycling. And so I think whatever we do in terms of I love the idea of taking special events and shedding ourselves as an example of not using all of the cutlery and the plates. But I think we need to examine what we can do to educate people to the why and the how and what's at risk. And I know it has to be fun and I know it has to be cute and exciting, but this is serious stuff. And what I'd like to hear about, and again, this is just my opinion, is how are we shared in the fact of these are things that we need to spend time on and attention to, not just a special event, but educating the population and educating right here in my community. I live in a wonderful community of nice, beautiful homes. Marketing is a neighbor. And I can't tell you how many times we get out there and we've got recycling we pay for, we got garbage pickup, and people are throwing their garbage in the recycling and recycling in the garbage. So maybe I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be. But I think that I guess I need a focus from the group in terms of, are we a special events group? Is that what we're going to be doing? Or how are we going to approach this picture of urgency and the reasons why?
Okay, so since this is brainstorming, I'm going to put, how do we create a sense of urgency and also the need to educate people of the risk and the situation. Does that cover it pretty well, Pat?
Yeah,
Excellent.
pretty much.
Next is Ed Pickart.
Just wanted you to correct number 7, that we're trying to transition away from not plastic, not to plastic. And
Transition. Oh, yeah, it's all in the details, isn't it? Thank you.
yeah, I like the idea of going at this at the district level or at the zone level or at the at higher levels. And we're talking about behavioral change. What about if we start at our international conference and make sure that everything at the international conference is free of plastic, and lead by example at the international conference.
Can I just interject here at this? So we have the SRAC team actually for the Melbourne conference, and they came up with a beautiful green plan, but the budget is not allowing for it. So a lot of things had to be taken down for the Melbourne. Hopefully by Singapore, it might work.
Wow. Maybe we can build on what the conference is doing, and as the conference gets ideas and makes decisions, trickle that back to our clubs. Here's what the conference is doing in their preparations. Here's another thing that they're doing.
I think you could call Vic Grosjean to come and give a talk to Plastic Solutions.
What is the name of the person, Mina?
Ludovic Grosjean, Ludovic. The second name is Grosjean. I'll give you his Grosjean.
No,
He
R.
wasn't. No, it's Grosj for Jane, EAN.
Yes. Yes.
So either Ariel or I can give you his contact, and you can invite him to see what's happening in Melbourne.
I had a chance to talk with a hotel vendor, and it's going to be very different from Houston just because the hotel is a green and sustainable hotel. So at least we should have some options for our food and water that we just didn't have. In Houston, for those of you who weren't there, you really couldn't get anything to eat that wasn't wrapped in several layers of plastic. Okay, Mina will provide contact info. And that was Victor Grosjean.
Ludovic, you had it
No?
right. You had it right.
You got it right.
Ludwig Grosjean. Very good. Thank you. Ariel.
So I really like the idea of pets, because I think if we arrive at pets with a training track for the incoming presidents and at zones for training for the district governors elect on this new area of focus, and if we arrive with a bouquet of projects that they could implement in their districts or zones, I think that could be real in their clubs or districts. That could be really interesting, because I went to the zone conference for my area, and the 5 presidents elect in the state of Ohio all want to work on environmental projects during their year. So this new area of focus is interesting to them. The other thing is, Laura, you're already doing this, but I want to call out the excellence of it. You're showing the win-win of reducing single-use consumption with your trade-off. Using a metal fork twice means it's already paid for itself compared to disposables. So I think, and I think that the plant-rich diet task force does this really well in talking about how you're reducing your risk of chronic disease while also helping to solve the climate crisis. So I'm seeing some imagery of little children with vulnerable bodies imbibing out of plastic bottles with a message about the harm that microplastics are going to do resting in their body all their lives, or your elderly mother receiving a Meals on Wheels in a plastic container, and just emphasizing her vulnerability and how much better it would be for that little child and that beloved grandmother if you were switching what you're using to serve the food. So the kind of the win-win financially. And going back to the dealing with manufacturers, you got to show them that they've got another way to make money, and that the workers in those cracking plants have another way to make a living wage. The transition economics.
Excellent. I did not capture this the way you said it, Ariel. You want to correct this for me? Because the way I have it ain't gonna happen.
No, you're right. Show petrochemical manufacturers another way to make money, and workers alternative careers.
Yeah. There's a group called, what is it? The Living Labs in Indonesia that helps provide funding for entrepreneurial startups who are creating solutions to the refill, reuse problem. So they're inventing things like Algramo is, squeezable, reusable things, smart technology that knows how much is being dispensed into a smart container that's reusable. They do all kinds of cool things like that. And they make the point that we're spending billions on cleanup that we could be spending supporting these innovators who will be bringing a whole new sector of jobs into the world. And that not only will it reduce the plastic that would need to be cleaned up, it will create a whole new green economy. Okay, any other ideas? One idea I had came from the Rotary Climate Action Team. They have rather quickly spread to hundreds of clubs who are all making pledges to reduce greenhouse gas producing activities in their clubs. And they start with a pledge. That guy who wrote that book I was talking about, he has mentioned that people are much more likely to keep their behavior changed when they have done a written commitment, and especially if they've done that written commitment publicly. And in that way, by asking a club to make a pledge, it introduces the topic. It introduces a chance, like Pat was talking to get into the discussion about the toxins and the problem, and to get into our refill and reuse mentality, which is the deep behavior change that any club could implement immediately without needing to make a great outlay of money. What do you think about the idea of pledges? Is that viable? Are there pros and cons?
And
Ariel's given a
pledges,
thumbs
you're
up.
measuring your progress. If you make a pledge, it's like setting a goal in a diet or something. You're posting on social media, how much you cut your plastic use compared to the event last year. So you're bragging about progress, and people are saying, hey, I could do that. Those road targets are cool, but we're just as cool.
There's various ways to think about I think what that is called is gamification, where you try to make a game of the whole thing. And that works and doesn't work. I mean, do you need a pledge to take care of your children?
Mm,
Do you need, I don't know, a pledge not to hurt people?
mm.
Do we need pledges, the people in this Zoom? I don't know how the pledges necessarily work. I've seen in people who offer this sometimes kind of a flaky business behind the pledge.
Flaky business, like in what way?
It just varies. I could go into detail, but I just it's why are they doing it and what difference does it make? And I don't know. I don't see too much out of it, but maybe there are people who need a pledge. I guess I
Okay.
don't get it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at a way of how do we get to the clubs? You know, when clubs, and when I say we, who are we? Is the best way to get to clubs through speakers? It's not through emails. What is the best way to get to clubs? Your thoughts? I mean, how do you get to other clubs? How do we get to other clubs?
I thought
Margine.
I thought your presentation on Friday was amazing. And I mean, can we put it on something and send it? Like, I'd love to send it to all the clubs I visited in Norway. I don't know, you've got to start out small and then it's, and so on and so on and so on. But I'm just so new at this.
Well, I
don't
think
know.
that is a fantastic idea. Videos, you know, it
PowerPoint.
doesn't take a whole, it just doesn't take a whole lot of effort or money to produce a video and see if it gets responses, see if it lights a fire under some clubs.
Yeah.
We are now at 1 minute until the hour. I want to tell you a little bit about what our next steps are. So on Thursday at 9 a.m., we will hold another brainstorming session just like this one. If you put permission for me to send you to your email address this combined list, I will do that as soon as possible after Thursday. And then our next step will be to meet to set priorities and form working groups in early January. Because the one thing that makes a brainstorming session fail is to have it and do no follow-up. So I think it doesn't make any sense to try to do follow-up before the holidays. While we're working on this, we're also working with all of the regions, with the regional chapter leaders, to try to get a liaison from each region who can join us, bring to plastic solutions projects that clubs are doing. Because Ariel, I love the idea of producing a bouquet of club projects for plastic. Problem is, it's very hard to find any out there unless it's cleanup, setting up a recycling center, which is cool. There are some small recycling projects done by clubs, and making bricks. So,
No, I think you've listed several projects already.
like the ones that like the
pool
Meals
co
on
is doing,
Wheels and the
yeah, and the silverware library. You know, I told somebody in our diocese about that idea, and I said, look, churches have like, you know, place settings for 200 people. Why can't we lend our silver and our plates to people having weddings or family reunions, or, you know? And he got very excited and he said, we should do this, get away from single use as our Lenten discipline for our diocese. I mean, you have lots of good projects. It doesn't matter that Rotarians aren't doing them yet.
Thank you, Ariel. You put your thumb on something that it's easy to forget that we do have answers and we do have things that we can share. And one idea that is too much for one club is fun for another club. Margine.
I was just going to say that my granddaughter has just started a wedding planning business, and they are reusing everything. They're not using any plastic, and they're buying the different silverware and reusing them. And I'm very proud of her.
Cool.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping she's going to wedding shows and
Oh,
telling
yes.
the brides
Oh, yeah.
about that. Wow.
And she's a manager of a very, very popular restaurant in Silverdale. You girls know it as the Oak Table, but it's
Oh.
the most popular restaurant in the county. And she's trying to get some of that. The health department clearly has a say in some of that, but anyway, you've got to start slowly. Look at the polio vaccination. It caught on.
It did. The interesting thing is it caught on in the Philippines and did extremely well in the Philippines before it was selected to become our first big international foundation project. And I suspect we're going to need to have some clubs leading the way while we concurrently work towards higher levels of leadership. The idea is good, but when we can point to clubs actually succeeding, then we have a credible path that can be imitated or improved upon. So I want to thank you all for your ideas. And what I'm hoping is that you will get more ideas at about 2 a.m. I'm going to put my email in here. And when you come up with that 2 a.m. idea, please share it with me. Let's see, everyone. Here is me. We still need a title for our project. Once is not enough was Karen's suggestion. Project reduce or refill and reuse was mine. We did get a couple in the chat that I need to get from Olderico from our meeting on November 14th. For Ed, Pat, and Margine, that's when I gave kind of the same speech that I gave to our club on Friday.
Mhm.
And if anybody has a club that you think would like to hear this talk and be perhaps either get a good nap while I'm talking or be inspired to future projects, please know that I'm always willing to talk trash, especially about plastic.
She's our trashy lady.
So this meeting is officially over with my thanks. Anybody wants to save what's in chat? I don't know if we have that much in there. Now is the time to click the 3 little buttons. And I need to do that myself. And so we are officially adjourned, but I'm going to stay on for another 5 minutes if anybody just wants to chit chat.
I'm going to be going. I'm taking off for Costa Rica for a wedding. So it's been great.
Safe travels, Margine.
Huh?
Safe travels.
Safe travels.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Where are the 3 dots? Oh, no.
On
Where does it
chat,
save?
Oh,
Then where do you save it to? I've never.
the way you find it is you go to Documents, Zoom, and you will see chat from blah, blah, blah meeting.
Oh,
They'll
okay.
all be
Check it
together
out.
there if you
Thank
take
you.
them. Yeah. It's
Okay,
really,
thank
really
you.
slick.
Thank
You
you,
bet.
Lori.
And thank you, Pat. And thank you for your questions. you know, the probing questions about,
Mine?
yeah,
Oh, I thought. I'm,
they
well,
were good and thought provoking.
Oh,
I thought there were some good contributions, and there are things that are really can make a difference. I just have this compulsion about helping people understand. I mean, even though we have within our government and systems and that they're supposed to be learning and educating themselves. I don't know. Anyway, thank you. I hope everything goes well on Thursday. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And Alderico, thank you so much. Okay.
Signing
Let's see.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.